ask you to give him a round of applause. Caleb James, our first guest here.
Wow. Well, thank you for the introduction, Eric. My name is Caleb, and I was born and raised here in Wichita, Kansas. I had 20 yards in his neighborhood about 3 years ago. I started with a mowing business, and when I was younger, I had a single mom. My parents split up when I was younger, and my dad moved away, so it was just my mom, and I saw her going to college. She was working. She was raising us 3 kids. I was the oldest sibling, and it seemed like money always caused so much stress in our family. And I wanted this, but we couldn't get it. And my friends were traveling and going to all these cool places, and then we were going to Kansas City maybe. And it's why? Why? It caused a lot of pain for me, at least. And I wanted to solve that problem. And so I always looked at people that had successful businesses. I was always looking at, families. And, in high school, there was a kid at my school who had a mowing business, and he actually lived in your neighborhood. And he was a really smart kid. He had a successful mowing business. He had 40 customers, and he was making, $40 a yard times 40 customers. He was making really good money. And at the time, I was a server assistant at Greystone, which was a steak restaurant. And I was making $12 an hour. And this guy had a nice truck. He had jet skis. He had the AirPods. He had all this stuff. I'm okay, I need to be friends with this guy and learn kind of what he's doing, because I think I can do this. So I started hanging out with him, and I started working with him. And he was paying me $15 an hour. The restaurant was paying me $12 an hour. So I ended up just kind of stopped showing up at the restaurant, which probably wasn't the right thing to do, but I just kind of stopped showing up, and I started working with him, and I loved it because we were working for all these successful, families, and I was outside, and I was getting tan, and I was meeting people, and I was making good money, and so I loved it. And from there, I got a $7,000 loan from a family member at the time. He saw I was taking pride in mowing grass. He gave me a $7,000 loan, and I took that loan and bought this trailer for $2,000 and this mower for $5,000. That was the first day I picked it up. It was the winter of 2020, so I was going into a fresh season of mowing grass. I had no customers. I had a $7,000 loan, and I was told to pay the loan off in a year. And so I was all right. But in my mind, I wanted to pay it off way faster because I wanted this guy to fully trust me and help me out, down the road. And so I actually ended up paying that loan off in 4 months, which was awesome. I went door knocking and got got my first clients by door knocking. I set a target of 25 yards. And, I door knocked. It was very uncomfortable at the start. You're going up to a house, you're are they eating dinner? Are they not? And I've always been kind of shy around people. And, that was my first wave of resistance that I faced as an entrepreneur, that I had to just kind of detach from my emotions and really just go and do it, because my mission and my target was bigger. So, this was the door hanger that I actually got from Vistaprint. None of those were my photos. That I didn't mow those yards. Those were from my friend's business, but I didn't mow those yards. And I started the mowing business, and at the end of 2022, I grew the mowing business to 80 customers. I ended up buying the kid's business that I worked for initially on an owner finance deal, which, if you guys are familiar with that, basically I mowed the yards 8 times, and after I mowed them 8 times and gave him all that money, I now had his list. So I didn't have to come up with the money up front. It would have been $40,000 or $30,000. I instead just mowed each of the yards, just used my time, and then paid him all that money, and now these were my clients. And so that doubled me in size.
Each yard 8 times or 8 yards?
Each yard 8 times, yeah. Yeah, so each of his 40 yards, I just mowed them 8 times, and he got all that revenue. And then after that 2 months, basically, then they were mine, which was great. It was a great deal because then I ended up selling the mowing business for the same amount that I got the yards for. Like I sold it for 8 mows, so I basically just like traded and then got all that revenue in there. And same with that trailer and mower that I bought. I paid $2,000 for the trailer and $5,000 for the mower. I ended up selling the mower for $4,500 and the trailer for like $1,800. So it's like I parked my money in these tools that was able to generate me thousands and thousands of dollars, and then I was able to just sell them and get the money back. So it was kind of a no-brainer for the guy that gave me the $7,000 because I basically pitched it like, if I go belly up, if this thing explodes, if I suck, we can sell the mower and the trailer and you can get your money right back. So there was really no risk on his part. The reason I sold the mowing business was because looking back with all the information I have now, I probably wish I would have kept it, but I was able to use that capital or that money and invest it in myself. And I traveled to a lot of places. I went to tons of business mastermind events because I didn't go to college. So I'm trying to seek information because I'm running around on this mower all day long, mowing 20 yards a day by myself, managing the money, invoicing, estimating, wearing every hat in the business. I had no time to do anything that I enjoyed. And I was like, I got to figure something out here because it's just not worth it. The money is just not worth it. So I sold the mowing business and I went into a design and build construction business. So now we basically build, backyards like this. So this was a recent project that we just did. We went out here, gave them a design, and then built this fire pit patio with a sitting wall, tons of lights. This project was $90,000. And so, that's basically what I do now. I build outdoor construction projects, paver patios, outdoor kitchens, landscape lighting, all of that kind of stuff. So it's just a little bit about the current business. Now, the topic of the message today was how to bootstrap and grow, start, scale a business with limited resources, which is, when you texted me that, I was honestly like, yes. Because that's, what I did. And I've learned a lot. And hopefully through this, speech, you guys can take something from this, go and apply it, and change your businesses, change your lives. So that's the goal here. So I wanted to first just point out Sarah Blakely because, as an entrepreneur, I like to see somebody that's done it. And then I'm able to, kind of get proof of concept and kind of gain confidence. So Sarah Blakely, I listened to her speak at a Grant Cardone conference. She actually started a business with $5,000, Spanx Clothing. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. And she exited it for over $1.3 billion. So completely bootstrapped this business and exited as a billionaire, which is just unbelievable. Before she was 45 years old, she's still fairly young. And it's as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, we have different belief systems that we abide by every single day that kind of influence where we're going. And a lot of them can be negative and a lot of them can be limiting. And so we have to be aware of them and kind of go through them. And so, I can only imagine, she was probably thinking that she doesn't have enough money to build a team or, she doesn't know where to market her products or all of this stuff. But in the beginning, she was very scrappy. In the beginning, you have to be scrappy. In the beginning, I went door knocking. I was going and I was calling people I knew. I was sending them selfie videos hey, I own a mowing business. Is there anything I can help you out with? In the beginning, when you don't have money, you have to use a lot of your time. And so she was going into these different retail centers and, letting everybody know about her services, which can be uncomfortable, which that's some of that resistance that we have to kind of just fight through as a business owner. So, obviously the first step is to have a plan. when I started, I had a plan of getting 25 clients, and then by the end of the year getting 40. And I was like really set on that, and I hit those targets because that's all I focused on. So when you guys are, I don't know how many of you guys in here actually own a business versus like are starting a business, but I think this is relevant for everybody. You know, you first obviously decide what business it is, and then when you do decide what business it is, you just kind of have to go all in on that one thing. I find myself, even to this day, I mean, if you would ask me last week, I would have said I want to get out of my landscape business, but it's tough, and you have to just kind of pick one thing and realize that picking one thing is sometimes better than not picking anything at all. And as you walk the path, stuff will illuminate and opportunities will arise. The next thing that I would do, like if you were to drop me in a brand new market like Vegas, if you were to drop me in Vegas and say, Caleb, you need to build the exact business that you have now in Vegas, start from scratch, I would first look at, okay, who are my competitors in this area? Who's running this business right now? What is their revenue? You know, what are they not doing? What can I do that they're not doing that I can capitalize on? So if they're not doing landscape maintenance, let me add landscape maintenance, and now that's gonna, I can take some of their market share, or I can be more attractive. So you want to analyze what they're not doing, because that's potentially the angle that you can go at to take market share. And then you want to see what they're good at, what they're excelling in, because, then you can try and, copy them. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You guys could go out and start a landscape business just like mine. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can just see what's working and follow that. So I would do tons of market research. When I first started my business, I didn't know how much to charge for a lawn aeration, for example. That's a service I wanted to provide. So what did I do? I called a landscape company and had them come quote my mom's house so I could see exactly what their sales process looked like, what their emails looked like, what the estimate looked like, and how much they would charge for my mom's house. So I would funnel hack their businesses. I would call in and see, how are they answering the phone? What questions are they asking me? Okay, I'm going to use those questions in my qualifying process. If this is a $10 million business, I'm going to take those same qualifying questions, because chances are they've went through a lot of pain to get to those questions. So, I would do market research. And the next thing that I would kind of focus on, just to make things simple, I feel like a lot of the times we overcomplicate things, and most of the time it's actually fairly simple. So, when, for example, a landscape business, you want to think, what's the lowest barrier of entry for me to get into this business? So you could grab a rake, you could grab some trash bags, and you could just go start door knocking. That gets you started. That builds momentum. Then when you make that cash, then maybe you can invest in, some advertising, or you can invest in another tool that you can provide another service. So think what's the lowest barrier of entry for me right now, in the business, and then just go for that. Another thing that I would be thinking about in the beginning when you're running a business is, if you have low capital, low money to start, that's fine. A lot of people think you need money to start a business, to run a business. That's one of those kind of limiting beliefs that I was talking about earlier. I even thought that to own a business, you have to be wealthy, you have to be rich. But now, after I've learned a thing or two, I've realized you actually don't need money. I mean, I didn't have money when I started my business. I had people that knew, and trusted me, and then they were able to just give me theirs. So, but also, for example, my business right now, you wouldn't need a single dollar to do what I'm doing, because I am subcontracting my projects. I don't have any of the equipment. I don't have any of the trailers. I bought all that stuff, but then I sold it because I realized, why would I have all this? Why would I have the loans? Why would I have all that when I can just use another company that's going to take care of all that? So I'm subcontracting projects, so you don't need money for the tools. And then for the materials, Whenever I close a deal, let's say you're a homeowner, you have a patio, 20 by 20 patio, it's a $20,000 project. When I close the deal with you, I'm going to say, hey man, to get on our schedule, we're going to need a 30% deposit. That locks you in on our calendar and allows me to order the materials. And it just kind of lets me know that you're serious versus all these other leads that we're working on. So now I just grabbed 20% or 30% of 20 grand, and now I have that money. Plus you can use business credit cards, personal credit cards to help you float the projects because most of the time those credit cards give you 30 days. So if I were to start the projects, it's only going to take us 6 days. You're going to collect all the money and then you're able to pay the card off. So think about ways you can get cash flow up front. Like for example, if I was going to start a maintenance lawn mowing business, I'm using landscaping because that's kind of what I know. But if you're going to start a maintenance lawn business, you could build an offer that's like, hey, we mow the yard 32 times a year on average. So we'll do 32 times $50 per lawn mow. We'll take that math and we'll divide it by 12 months. You're just going to pay us monthly. That way I get cash flow in the wintertime. But you can pay up front and I'll give you actually a discount of a month free. And so now you could almost get a full year of mowing up front. So there's strategic ways that you can grab cash flow up front that I would be trying to think of. And one of the tools that you guys can use, like obviously we're in 2024 now, I'm using ChatGPT almost every single day. Like ChatGPT is my business mentor. So I would literally be like, hey, ChatGPT, my name's Caleb James, or I own a beef jerky business. What are some creative offers that I can sell to gas stations to where I'm getting money up front? And like ask it and let it spit something out. It may be horrible, but that's okay. It may give you good insight, good ideas. I use ChatGPT to help me build so much stuff for my business. The next thing is you need to have targets in place, targets and numbers in place. And it doesn't have to be complex at the start. I want this many customers. I want, this much in revenue. Once you develop into business, honestly, for the last 2 years of business, I haven't been tracking my numbers that much because I've been so consumed by all these tasks. And when you're not tracking something, it never improves. You're basically guessing. And when you're guessing in business, you fail. I learned it with, the gym. Like I've been trying to put on weight for 2 years. And to put on weight, I learned that 80% of it is the nutrients. 20% is the lifting. And you have to track the nutrients to actually put on weight. It's kind of the same with business. You have to track your numbers. How many leads do you need every single month to hit your revenue target? How much is the cost per lead? How much in sales do I want to do? There's tons of different numbers and targets that you need to set for yourself and you need to take seriously. You need to really reverse engineer these numbers. This is like the most crucial part of the business is like, where are your numbers at? You can reverse engineer the business and take the guesswork out of it. And then start building the brand, the logo, the design, social media pages. People ask me all the time, Caleb, what's like the best form of marketing? There is no best form. It's just like be everywhere. Like just get noisy, be everywhere. Be on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, yard signs, door hangers, Facebook ads. You just need to be everywhere. You need to be omnipresent. So think of a marketing strategy. How are you going to get everybody to know about your brand? Oftentimes I wake up in the morning, I'm like, okay, how am I going to get everybody to know about Caleb James? How am I going to get everybody to know about my business? Because like money follows attention. Like the people with the most attention in the world, LeBron James, Kim Kardashian, like Elon, like attention equals money. So, you got to bring attention to yourselves, to your brand. Like if I don't know about your beef jerky business, I'm gonna keep getting, I don't know the beef jerky names, but I'm gonna keep getting another brand because I don't know that it exists. But if you do some creative marketing where it's like, maybe you show how it's made or you show somebody enjoying it or you bring your unique personality into the brand and you allow people to know about it, oh my gosh, now I want to, I like this guy's brand, I like his message. It's bigger than just beef jerky, like you have a purpose behind it. So yeah, what makes you different? And then you want to, obviously think of pricing structures, different packages, different offers you can come up with. Is it going to be a subscription model? And then how are you going to be marking stuff up? The next massive thing with business in the beginning that I've learned is relationships are absolutely everything. If we just if I just reflect on my journey, boom, I met the kid that had the lawn mowing business. Changed my life. Boom, the family member that I had the relationship with changed my life. The kid that I met at a conference that sold his mowing business and went into the construction projects and was a millionaire at 23, boom, changed my life. The contractor that I met that has 35 years of experience doing those beautiful projects, boom, changed my life. The landscape designer that I met, boom, changed my life. So you need to be, meeting people that can change your life, and relationships are everything. As a business owner, sometimes when I'm on estimates, I'm I judge, or I may think that this person can't transact with my business. And for a while, I would kind of treat them different. But what I realized is their uncle could be Elon Musk. So every single person that you come in contact with anywhere, you need to treat them I guess the golden rule, treat them how you want to be treated, but treat them as if they can do business with you, even if they maybe can't, because they know 100 people. Every single person in here knows 100 people. And so if I get you, even if you can't transact with me, but you're wow, this kid Caleb's awesome, his business is great, now when somebody at dinner is hey, I want a paper patty, you're Caleb. So you couldn't, but the 100 people in your network could. So always be building relationships with people. You're one handshake, one connection, one conversation away from your life changing. Places to look for quality relationships. I got a high-end gym membership last year. It was kind of I'm it's expensive. I could go to Planet Fitness for $15. But I was around, Ben Hutton was at the gym, CEO of Hutton Construction. I met him. I met the president of Wildcat Construction, and he gave me a $10,000 project. I had my truck parked out front with my logos on it, and somebody, I was lifting some dumbbells, and somebody's hey, who's Fine Lines? And I kind of jumped up, and boom, that was a $30,000 patio. So when you're around the people that are your target market, when you're around the people that can transact with you, your opportunities arise. So for me, I'm obviously doing high-end landscape projects, so I need to be around people that, have some money in the bank. So country clubs, nice restaurants, social memberships at places, B&I business groups, even car meetups, Cars and Coffee. Those are great for me because I meet somebody with a Ferrari and I'm oh, okay, I'll introduce myself to them, and potentially that can produce fruit down the road. So relationships are crucial. Marketing, I talked about this a little bit. You want to have kind of a bigger mission, kind of a bigger why behind your business. If I'm just selling paver patios, there's 20 people in Wichita that are selling paver patios. So what makes me different? And there's a video by Simon Sinek, which is he's unbelievable with business. It's called The Golden Circle, and he talks about, building your why, building a bigger mission behind what you're doing. And he looks at Martin Luther King Jr., for example. There was tons of people that were going for, against slavery. But why did he stand out? Well, because of his beliefs, because of his dream. People got behind that message. And people resonated with that message. So we had something that was bigger than it, and it brought people in. So for me, I like to think of our projects as, an opportunity for this homeowner to go from a plain backyard to an amazing backyard that inspires them and motivates them and acts as a trophy for their hard work. And when they come home, they're proud of it and it gives them energy. And so I truly believe that by getting a project like that, it makes you want to work harder and keep going. And so that's kind of, I've tried to wrap that up into my brand. So that way I'm different. In the beginning with marketing, if you don't have money, you have to be scrappy, like I was saying. Door knocking, sending videos, sending text messages to people in your contact list, maybe doing something for free, just being creative, building a referral program. So if somebody refers your service to somebody else, maybe you give them a $100 gift card, $75 gift card. My goal is to have my clients do the marketing for me. And this is another thing that I made the mistake of in business is I would do the projects and all I was thinking about is like, yes, I'm going to make $6,000 or yes, I'm going to make $7,000. And I wasn't really thinking about the client. It was a very selfish approach. And I recently switched that and I'm like, okay, how much more fruit would it produce if I came into this with a positive, a productive outlook? So instead of thinking about, hey, I'm going to do your patio and make $7,000, I'm like, I'm going to do your patio and how am I going to blow you away to where you're never going to think of another business again and you're going to just spread my business to everybody that you come in contact with because it was so amazing. And that may cost me an extra $200-$300, but if you give me another $6,000 profit patio, it blows it out of the water. But if I'm on your job and I only want I'm just thinking of 7,000, making $7,000, it just kind of felt like a normal experience. It may not be, crazy. So that reframe has really been helpful for me. Also building an email list, collecting emails, collecting emails and then sending a monthly newsletter, just giving them updates, not necessarily trying to sell them on anything, but just giving them updates. We just sent one out and it was basically, I was just showing them the projects that we did and, I was letting them know that we're bringing maintenance back into the business for 2025. And then lastly, coming up with a cool offer that's different. So in my business, hey, if you purchase a patio from us, we'll give you a free wood fire pit. It's a cool offer. Or, if you sign up for our maintenance package, we'll give you the first month for free. It's a cool offer. So coming up with cool offers like that, attract people in. The goal here is to get everybody to know about you and to take market share. Sales. So sales is something that I'm working on daily. It's something that you never know if you're being too pushy or not pushy enough. And, sometimes it's hard to ask uncomfortable questions. There's a $40,000 project on the line. You don't want to mess it up. So sales is something that you're always learning. But some things in my business that I've recently started to do is I take a lot of time on the front end to qualify the clients, make sure that they want a patio, but they're only willing to spend $5,000 or they can only afford to spend $5,000. I'm probably not your guy. I'll point you in the direction of somebody that can do that, but I'm trying to minimize the time invested in the business and maximize profit. So if I'm going to somebody's project that they're only going to spend $5,000 and I drive all the way out there, I put an estimate together, I send the estimate out, I never ask those questions, and then I follow up with them, it's unfair to the clients that I could actually service or that I'm currently servicing. And you only have so much time and mental real estate. So some people just aren't for your business and that's fine, but you need to qualify them on the front end and figure out if they fit your target market. I also built a sales slide presentation when I'm meeting with the client. Let's say I'm at Eric's house, he wants a paver patio. Instead of just, taking my proposal and being like, here you go, it's $30,000. I built out a presentation that I'm able to kind of walk them through, let them know the mission of the business, and just give that chance to really kind of separate me from everybody else. I'm showing him some previous projects, showing him how we install the patios, kind of letting him know why, why we're sometimes more expensive than competitors, and just building the value of the presentation before I drop the price. And also in sales, you kind of have to figure out, is it pain or pleasure? Why are they buying? Those are two very strong human emotions. Is it because their grandma keeps tripping on the cracked concrete that they want a new patio? Or is it because they want to have people over for wine and enjoy the backyard? So you kind of have to figure out why they're reaching out to you, and then you can leverage that to service them. And number 4, close with logic. So, for example, I'm working on a job right now. It was originally, he just wanted like a $10,000 fire pit sitting area, and I was like, okay, cool. I went out there and I ended up putting together a design for free, and the job was like 40 grand. And he was like, wow, I love this design. I don't think I can do that right now. And I'm like, hey, I completely understand. He's like, I want to do the project, but I think I'm just going to wait till next spring. And I was basically like, I was just trying to use logic. I was like, hey man, I would hate for you to have to delay that fire pit and that outdoor area that you can spend time with your family. I would hate for you guys to have to delay that all the way until the springtime just because I put together a design that you weren't anticipating and it was kind of out of your range. So how about I just take all the extra plants and retaining walls and lighting out of it, and we just build you the fire pit with just like a little area with base rocks. That way you guys can still utilize it. When you're ready come springtime, we'll add in the back. So you're using logic to kind of work around what people are thinking. Hey Caleb, it looks great. I think I want to do it in the spring. Well, if you're going to do it in the spring, you might as well do it now, just stuff like that. Always assume the close. I was just on, so that project I showed you at the very beginning, it was a $90,000 job. The estimate once was $290,000. They wanted this pool house with a fireplace and outdoor kitchen. And when I was on that meeting, I was obviously nervous. It's like the most expensive project I've ever sat down and proposed. But at the end of the project, she said, Caleb, what are the next steps? And I was like, basically, you give us a 30% deposit, and then when we break ground on the project, we'll take another 30%. And I was basically like, you let us know when you're ready to go. But I should have kind of made a joke in that moment and been like, well, the next step is you sign here and here, and we start building. But instead, I kind of came into it with that, I'm going to say scarce mindset, that I wasn't assuming the close. I came in it thinking she wasn't going to transact, and so honestly, I could have blown that opportunity. And so immediately when I got back in my car, I was like, come on, I should have said, you sign here and here, and we start. But yeah, always assume the close, and if they don't want to close, okay, cool, we'll work through that. I have an offer. I have something I can build to service you, so we'll just work through that together. You're in the people business, not the product business. So I'm not in the landscape business. I'm in the people business. I'm in the business of servicing you, making sure you get the best experience possible, making sure you have no questions. That's the business I'm in. A lot of people think, hey, I'm in the paver business, and they just optimize for having the best paver patio. And a lot of the other stuff kind of gets left on the back burner, and they kind of just stay mediocre. But if you're optimizing for a really good client experience and you have the good paver patios, then you're going to start to scale. Master the art of listening. So it's very important to listen to the clients when you're, I keep using landscape as an example. It's just what I know. But when I'm on meetings with people, it's like, okay, how long are you guys planning on living here? If they're only going to live there for 3 years, I'm not going to sell them a $60,000 patio. Pavers, custom pavers with a double border. Let's just do concrete, because if I were to do the $60,000 project, when you go and sell the house, you're not going to get all that money back out of it. When you go and it's not going to raise it that much. But if we do concrete, it could potentially raise the house enough in value to where that concrete patio would be free. So just working through things like that. You want to listen to the clients, see how long they're going to live there, see why they're doing it, and master listening. Role playing with people. So like whatever closes or whatever objections you guys may get in your business, I always write them down. So a common one for me is, hey Caleb, everything looks great, just more than what we're looking to spend right now. And so, I wrote that down, and then instead of like messing up on every single project when you have the opportunity to close a $60,000 job, you want to mess up with let's say me and you just met up and we're role playing. Hey, dude, I keep getting this objection. They want to think about it. Or, hey, the project is just more than what they're looking to spend. And then we kind of work through that together. I'm like practicing. You don't want to practice when you're getting into the game. And then have a clear call to action after each meeting. So whenever, you're on a meeting with them, let's say it's initial consultation, I'm going to schedule my next meeting with them on the spot. That way we can keep the sales process moving. So I'm at Eric's house. He wants a paver patio. I'm going to give him the estimate. I'm going to book that proposal meeting where I'm going to pop by and show him the estimate. I'm going to book that before I leave. It's going to create some urgency on my end so I don't just get carried away in day-to-day tasks. It's going to force me to get the estimate done, but it's also going to keep the process moving down the line. So have a clear call to action after each meeting and encounter with people. Financial stewardship. So in the beginning, it's very important to be a good steward of your finances, be a good steward of your resources. And, I've obviously had this realization in business where if you're creating, that creates freedom for yourself. Like if you're creating projects, if you're creating presentations, if you're creating processes, that brings more fruit. But if you're just consuming a lot, and that, it makes you basically a slave because now you're having to keep going and working and it never stops. But if you create a bunch and you have a lot going on, now you can take some of that and start delegating little bits and pieces of the business off. But if $8,000 comes in from this patio project and I go dump it into a Gucci purse, I can't scale. I can't bring in an assistant to take phone calls. I can't buy a website that brings me in more clients. So don't upgrade your life, upgrade your business. Delayed gratification is everything. Keeping up with the Joneses will basically kill you in business, in the beginning. You have to just not really care what anybody thinks. Just steward the money well, invest it well, be smart with the money, and never spend money that you don't have yet. So if I'm doing a $100,000 job and I'm like 99% sure I'm going to close it, I shouldn't go out and buy that new drone for the business until the project's over and the money's in the account. Because if you're spending money that you don't have, you're going to get yourself in trouble. So live below your means. The business's money is not your money. That was like a big realization that I had. I thought that the business's money was mine, so I was just continuing to spend it. Nice shoes, let's go to Miami, let's go here. But then I'm like, okay, not really growing. I wonder why. Well, all the money that's coming in, I'm just exhausting. And it's like, I think that it's going to bring me validation, but it just goes away. Like I get a new shirt, I think it's going to bring me validation, boom, it's gone. So it's fleeting. What really would bring validation to us, to me, to everyone, is to build a business that's thriving, that's so big that you have multiple families that are getting paid well, and then potentially you exit the business for millions, that you can take care of your family, your friends. That's way more rewarding. And so that is what you guys should be aiming for. I have started to pay myself a salary each week. It could be $200, $500, $1,000, 10,000, but just pick a number based off of the revenue of your business and just pay yourself that and allow the money to accumulate in a reserve account that then you can utilize for investments, for people, for different softwares. So being a good steward of the money is massive. Also, in the beginning, you are the business. So, for example, I go out, I eat a McDonald's cheeseburger for lunch, and I get a milkshake. Well, now for the second half of the day, my productivity is going to plummet because I had a lot of fried food and calories, and now my mental clarity isn't there. I'm not sharp. I can't focus. So my business takes a hit by 50%. So in the business, when you don't have people around you and you don't have teams, everything is reliant on you. So you have to be very disciplined with your habits and with your routines and treat yourself as a business. Like, this is my calendar. My life is like I organize my life like a business. So like I wake up at 5 and then I literally have on here, you can't read it, but like I journal, I take a cold shower, I meditate. I have like a morning routine. And then after that, I have a power hour, which is like my most creative time that I'm working from 6 to 7 a.m. Because in the morning, after you wake up, your dopamine's reset, you're the most creative, so might as well just get the deep work out of the way. So you need to start working through these things and take this stuff seriously. Like, nobody's talking about this. Nobody's really doing this. And I mean, in business, it's like going to the MBA to have a successful business. Like, you have to take it seriously. You have to take your life seriously, your habits seriously. So I have a morning routine. I suggest all of you guys build some kind of morning routine that you're doing daily. It could be, hey, I go outside and I say out loud 3 things I'm grateful for. Or, hey, I go on YouTube and I type in a 10-minute stretching routine. Something like that, that every single day you're going to be putting inputs into the best version of yourself. So for me, like, all of these things have completely changed my life. The meditation allows you to kind of unidentify with the thoughts that are just running through your mind. I thought that I basically thought that I identified with every single thought that was in my mind, and it was causing me a lot of pain and suffering. And so then I learned that I can actually learn to just put power and identify with the ones that are serving me, and the ones that are against me, I can just kind of toss to the side or just observe. So a lot of these habits will allow you to work hard, focus hard, lead well, speak well, and do well in the business. Like, there's a good quote from somebody that I look up to in the entrepreneur space, where he says, your success will never surpass your level of personal development. So basically, my business, like, when I first started, I was drinking, I was smoking weed, I was just doing so many things that I shouldn't have been doing. I was going out and partying and, just scrolling short form content, playing Fortnite, just doing all these things that are just killing my focus, killing my productivity. And as I dropped that and implemented more of that stuff, my business just went like this. And so this is a massive pillar to any business success and life success, wealth, all of it. So vision boards, where are you going, calendar, optimizing your time, learning to say no to external events. Every single day, there's going to be someone that says, hey, come do this. You have to know what your priorities are. Are my priorities to go watch the Chiefs game at that bar, or are my priorities to retire my mom? Okay, well, let's focus on business. So meditation, sunlight, cold shower, this is all natural dopamine. Natural dopamine rather than like other cheap forms of dopamine. So you are the business in the beginning. Focus. Everybody has the same amount of time. Wow, it's already 8. That's crazy. Just flew by. Everybody has the same amount of time. What is going to make your time different than my time, or your time different than his time, is focus, your ability to focus. Focus basically multiplies the time. So you have to optimize for focus, optimize for quality inputs in the business, in your life. So, obviously these are just some things that really help me improve my focus. I recently started setting a timer when I'm working on stuff. So like today, I was finishing up this presentation. So I set a timer on my phone, 45 minutes. And I didn't get overwhelmed by the massive task. I just set the timer for 45 minutes and I just worked. I threw my phone in my backpack and I just worked for 45 minutes. After the 45 minutes was up, I got up, I stretched, I took 5 minutes, I went pee, I came back, and then I set another timer for 45 minutes. So that really helps in my focus. And, taking big tasks like building a SOP database for my construction business, that's a massive task. Standard operating procedures for my construction business, that's a massive task. There's like 60 of them. But if I just said, let me build a lead generation SOP, it allows me to just narrow in, and it eliminates the stress. So break big tasks down into little bites. A routine, meditation, quality sleep, all that stuff. Obviously, those are all focus destroyers that I was a victim to all of them. And I had to eliminate them. I had to I had to sacrifice those things so that way I could step into the new version of me and reach my targets. They weren't serving me. So this is basically the end. I wanted to talk about how I've kind of got myself in a perfect middleman position within my business where I'm around tons of people that have the knowledge. Maybe I really didn't know how to build a patio when I first started. No clue. But I've put myself kind of in a spot where I have people around me that are just rock stars, and it makes me look like I know what I'm doing. So just wanted to touch on this real quick. It's important to realize that Elon Musk doesn't know how to build rockets. Henry Ford didn't invent the car. He didn't invent the idea of mass production. He just took the assembly lines and leveraged other people and was like, all right, you're going to do this one task on the assembly line, and that's it. And then Ray Kroc, he didn't invent fast food, but he saw the potential in the franchise industry, and he leveraged other business owners to build the businesses and manage the businesses for him. So he wasn't like, yes, he was putting out stuff and managing all of the franchises, but he wasn't like directly in the day-to-day operations of each McDonald's. So he leveraged other people to help his dream. Limiting beliefs are something that we have to be aware of and push through. Tons of them. I don't have enough money to delegate the tasks. I've fallen victim to this. I don't have enough money to delegate the tasks. If that's the belief that you operate off of, then you're never going to think of strategic ways to actually bring people on. Instead of thinking, I don't have enough money to delegate, you think like, okay, I don't have money, but how can I delegate tasks in a strategic way? For example, I bring you on, I maybe don't pay you a salary of $5,000 a month. Maybe I'm like, okay, I just pay you commission. So like you literally, if you go and close a deal, then you get 10% of the profit. So like there's no money out of my pocket, but now I'm delegating it to you. Now you're doing the sales. So thinking of strategic ways like that. If I hire someone, they'll take all the profit. No one can do it as well as I can. I'm the only one that knows how this works. Good people are hard to find. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. All of these are just limiting beliefs, and you have to realize, like, I've read a lot of business books, and like 75% of them talk about the power of the mind, and that whatever you're thinking and whatever you're projecting and saying and talking about is quite literally what's going to happen in this world. So be very aware of what you're saying and thinking and talking about. And if you're thinking things like this, you're going to get that reality, that result. So positive thoughts and crush through the limiting beliefs. How I kind of applied this in the landscaping industry is I got a very reliable contractor. I don't have any of the equipment like I mentioned. I have a guy that is 50 years old that's been doing it for 35 years, and he has a team of 6 people, and they build all my projects for them. I meet with you, I sell you on a patio, and then I take it to him and say, hey, I have this patio, I'll give you $4,000 to build it. And he'll build it for $4,000. My materials are $6,000, and then I just made 10. So that's what I'm doing right now in the landscape business. Is I got a contractor that is really good at what he's doing, and I also got a designer that's really good at what he's doing. There was tons of projects that I went on. For example, this project, July 8th, 2023. This backyard was just grass. I would have had no idea how to do any of this. I would have had no idea to do a 12-foot water feature that drips down and a 10-foot fire pit that people can enjoy right here and these steppers for the basketball court. Would have had no idea. I didn't have the experience. But what I did is I found somebody that had the experience, and I was like, hey, I'll pay you $750 if you can do this design for me. He's been doing it for 30 years, and now I just got access to his knowledge, his talent for $750 that I just passed to the client. So I'm leveraging other people's skills and talents around me to make my vision, my dream happen. And, lastly, I'm leveraging like systems and software and processes. Like I said, ChatGPT, I'm leveraging that. I'm asking it questions about, how do I build SOPs? what are the KPIs I should be tracking in my beef jerky business? What are the KPIs I should be tracking in my landscape business? So leveraging systems, softwares, and processes to make my dream happen. So, like that software is unbelievable. It's more expensive than other softwares. This is software I utilize for my business. It's more expensive than other softwares, but it's basically an employee. So I'm leveraging all of those things to kind of make what I'm doing happen. So, and I guess what holds everything together with my contractor, with the designer, attracting these people and these opportunities into my life, I think a lot of it boils down to my energy, my positivity, and my attitude. And I think, with all of you guys, that is key to attracting these opportunities into your life, is just always have that massive vision. There's nothing that you can't achieve in this world. Like, nothing that you can't achieve. You can do anything. And hold that firm and have the positive energy around every person you come in contact with. And stuff just opens up. Doors open. So I think that's kind of the glue that holds those, relationships around me together. But that's basically it. You guys have any questions?
Oh my gosh.
Thank you, Caleb. Let's give him a round of applause.
Can you go back to slide 15 or 16, I think it is, please?
Yeah.
I do have a couple of questions.
100%.
About the logistics of your business.
Yeah.
Of course, you had to come up with like contracts.
Yeah.
And figure out the deposit and the contracts. And do you go out and hire somebody, or do you figure out how to do yourself to quote unquote save the money and come up with a good contract? And then the second part of it is also logistics. You have a project that is $90,000 or $50,000. Do you have the type of customers that will pay you up front, or do you have to figure out how to offer financing to also have potential customers who will need the financing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great questions. For the contract side of things, I invested my money into people. There was a guy that had a landscaping business. It was a $5 million business. He had an attorney write all these contracts and do all this stuff for him. I just invested into his mentorship because he was doing what I wanted to do. I just was able to trade my money for his knowledge, his experience, and I mean, that's really kind of how I've moved quickly, is I've just taken my money and given it to people that are doing what I want to do, just kind of delaying the gratification. And I got his contracts. But what's cool is, like, with AI now, you can build a really, really good contract in seconds. I'm utilizing AI and ChatGPT almost every day. I'll go for a walk and talk to it for 5 minutes. Hey, I'm in a landscape construction business. Can you build me a contract for my subcontractors to where if they mess up on the job, I don't have to pay them? And can you build it how like a Stanford attorney would write it, and include this, and this, and just see what it says. And then from there, you can maybe pay an attorney $150 to just review that, what it gives you. So that's on the contract side. And then on the projects, I do have a bank that my clients can go through if they can't pay for the project up front. But most of the times, people are like, I'm not going to pay 7% interest on the $90,000. So a lot of the times, they either just pay cash or they don't do the project. So, but I do have a bank that at least gives them the option to finance projects, 100%. Good questions. Does anybody else have any questions?
When you jumped into construction from the landscaping, did you have much knowledge of it, or what was the risk why'd you want to take it, and how did you know you wanted to?
Yeah, so it was a lot of risk because I had this business that was making me decent money, and I just kind of got rid of it. Everybody around me thought I was insane. They're like, why would you sell this business? Just manage it. But I was just following my intuition. Like, my intuition said, Caleb, you need to ditch it, get rid of it. And so I was like, all right, that's what's gotten me to this point. Let me just trust in this and just dish it off. So I sold it, and I had zero clue what I was doing with paper projects. No idea. I mean, when I grew up, it was just like I said, it was just my mom. I didn't have a dad. Like I didn't really even, like my dad, I did have a dad, but he was in Kansas City. And so like I didn't really even know like how to work on things, like lawnmowers. That was all over my head. There was a kid that had a mowing business and sold it and went into project-based landscaping work and became a millionaire. So I was like, all right, don't reinvent the wheel, sell the mowing business immediately and just follow his footsteps. And the reason I did it is because with the mowing, I was like, there's just so much that goes into it. If I have 150 accounts, it's 150 people that I need to maintain or like keep happy. And in that current like state, like I didn't really have the capital to bring on people. And so I just was like, all right, I'm just going to get rid of it. I'm going to figure out how to do these construction projects. I know I can always build that business back. It's like after you go and you learn how to ride a bike, you always know how to do it. I know I can build a lawn mowing business. Anybody can. Anybody in here can go build a lawn mowing business. So I wanted to figure out the patios. I had no idea how to do it. But I started like showing up to the supply stores, and I went to a couple of like events that they had that suppliers, you know, they were hosting events, and I went there, I was networking, I was watching YouTube videos. Everything's online. Everything that we need access to is online for free. We have all the information that we need to succeed. Everything that we need to get to where we want to go is right at our fingertips. We just need to push through the limiting beliefs and push through the resistance and shuffle the cards and make it happen. But it's not comfortable. And so, you know, that's why the routines and, you know, working out and all of these hard things, they keep you in that mindset of just pushing through discomfort, because as an entrepreneur, it is tough. It is not easy. I feel often like I'm on the front of a ship and I have no idea where it's going, and I have to decide, and do I do this? Do I sell the business? Do I hire that employee? Do I not? Do I go into an online business? Like there's not a company that's like, hey, Caleb, you do this, that, and this, you'll be vice president. Or you do this, that, and this, you'll be CEO. There's nothing like that. And so it's tough, it's stressful, it's uncomfortable, there's times you want to quit, there's times that, you know, it's all about that mental discipline, so.
Have you ever considered partnering with somebody?
Yeah, and I've tried it. I'm actually working with my 18-year-old brother right now, so he dropped out of school at 17, not dropped out, he's doing online school, but he's working with me on the business. And I brought on a partner on a profit share. I was going to give him like 20% of a profit share, and it wasn't working out. I had to let him go, so I have thought about it, yeah.
What is the most difficult in this journey that you have started? What is the most difficult thing that you have faced?
Good question. Man, when I was mowing the yards by myself, you know, I was covered in grass, head to toe, and I had I remember I had like 40 yards to mow this week, and I just bought this mower. I didn't have money, and my mower the motor just goes. And so like my mom has a push mower. There's no way I'm going to mow 40 yards with a push mower. My mower craps out. I have all these clients and I need to get lawns mowed. So, I mean, times like that, you know, I cried because I was stressed out. Like I didn't know how I was going to make it happen. But even recently, I face difficulties all the time. Like even recently, I'm like, all right, there's people, I have friends that are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month online, you know, doing other businesses. And so I'm like, am I even in the right business? Like I reverse engineer a landscaping business in Wichita, and the best one is at 8 million, which is treetop, but 3 million comes from nursery sales. So really they're only 5 million in construction. And that owner is doing 10% net on 5 million after all expenses are paid. So he's making 500 grand, so 60 grand a month. And what, you know, I was thinking like, what's the opportunity cost, or like how much is it going to cost me to go from where I'm at to 5 million to make that? Like, is that the easiest vehicle to get there? I don't know. You know, and it's like, okay, I could go online and I have infinite potential. So I was facing that hard. But yeah, it kind of goes back to the thing where it's like, once you find one thing, just stick to that. Like I switched back and I'm like, all right, I just need to build the team in the landscape business. I need people on the team. Like I'm just doing too much. I need to bring people in, and then I can go into these online realms and tap into that. So, but when I first started the construction business, I first hired employees and I got all the equipment like everybody does, right? My first job, I lost $8,000. It was a restaurant project. I'm not going to say the name of the restaurant, but it was one of my good friends, and I initially came in with the correct bid, but he worked me down about $8,000, and I just wanted to do the job so I could get recognition because it was a cool restaurant, but I lost $8,000. And so, I mean, that was tough. My employees that I hired, I got them off Facebook just because I needed somebody, and they told me that they knew how to build patios, but they really didn't know what they were doing, so I was losing money on the jobs. I was running around grabbing all the materials, selling retaining wall projects I had no idea how to build. Like I'm in your house and I'm selling you a $27,000 retaining wall project that I've never built in my life, and I don't know if my employees can actually build it. I'm just confident that if I mess up, I have enough margin to where I'm gonna break even and learn. Like that's my college. I took all those opportunities as like my school. So lots of uncomfortable
Moments.
Yeah, lots.
And what would be the advice to all of us?
The advice to all of you is the world is extremely busy. There's so much going on out there, so much noise. Oftentimes we just get caught up in the noise and we just drift. We drift through the days, we drift through the years, we drift through the months, and nothing's changing. And so what I recommend is just finding time for peace and quiet, finding time to go sit by that pond and just think, or, grabbing that book and writing down, what makes me happy? What makes me happy? And what am I good at? And what do I want to do? Like how many times do humans actually just sit down and write that stuff down? What makes me happy? I like to go on walks, I like steak, I like San Pellegrino, what makes me happy? So I would reflect and I would think about the things that make you happy, and I would start reverse engineering whatever you want. So I would pick something, I would figure something out. So if I wanted to be really good at guitar, then I would find people that are good at playing guitar, and I would find a way to get access to a free guitar or a guitar, and I would just start playing. So slowing down, pen to paper, all distractions aside, figure out what you want to do or where you want to go, and then think about what are the levers that you can be pulling that are actually going to get you there the quickest. Because there's a million things that I could be doing in my business, but what are the top three things that actually get results? Selling deals, getting leads, and managing projects. Building the SOPs doesn't really get me results. If I just did SOPs for the rest of my life, I would make no money. So there's 100 tasks that you could be doing, but what actually gets the results? So I would think about what actually is going to get me there. 3 things. You write 10 things and then narrow it down to 3. And then on the flip side, think about what is preventing you from getting there. So you write down 10 things that are preventing you from getting there, and then you narrow it down to 3, and then you have awareness over those 3. And then daily reflection is massive. I haven't completely implemented this, but imagine if every single day you had that notebook and you're like, all right, so this morning I could have got out of bed earlier. I should have made my bed. I did really good when I talked to him. I was present with him. I spoke well, and you just did a daily reflection. So more time in the journal, more time in taking new information, and then figuring out where you want to go.
Have you had any lawsuits? If so, how did you resolve it? And what does your legal team look like?
I haven't had any lawsuits. Yeah, come on, somebody. Yeah, haven't had any lawsuits. And the legal team, I don't have one right now. So that's, I'm going to sign up tomorrow. That's been one of my main problems with business is for example, I didn't have an LLC until I was 2 years into the business. I didn't have insurance until I was 2 years into the business. I didn't have a legal team until tomorrow. So like, yeah, that's something I need to get better at. So.
What are you hoping to get out of tonight's session and being part of this?
Honestly, this is like really, really big for me, and I really appreciate you guys listening to me and, you know, showing up here. Like showing up is massive to, you know, anything in life. It's just showing up for yourself, showing up for your friends, your family. So, you know, this is massive for me to practice speaking and practice getting in front of people. I love pouring into people. I love sharing what I've learned. I love meeting new people. And I love helping people, so yeah.
You're doing a good presentation.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. You're the man.
So how can we contact you or look at your website? Did you share that with us?
Yeah, so my business's name is Fine Lines Wichita. So this is our website, Fine Lines Design and Build. And then I'm also, you know, pretty active on social media. So I'm always kind of posting on social media, just kind of sharing what I'm learning, sharing what I'm doing. And, you know, now it's cool because I've actually started coaching people in the landscaping business, people that are mowing lawns. I'm taking them from mowing lawns into construction projects, utilizing the subcontractor model, and I'm teaching them how to do that. So, you know, that's kind of like my bigger play is like, yes, patios are cool, but how many lives can I impact? And like how many lives can I impact and how many people can I, you know, help? So that's.
Caleb, can you please go back to the cover, which is your website? I want to make a remark here and raise a discussion. I think I've already mentioned that when you spoke in a course here at this business school, which I will just make a simple remark here. I respect Caleb so much. He showed up. He came here full of grass clips. I saw his truck in front of the building. He came, he gave us like, you know, well, he's giving you similar, you know, the same energy. But my point is about your business. One of the things we study and discuss a lot in this course is the so-called positioning. What pops into your customer's mind and hearts when they think about you through business. And let me step back for a second and report my own experience looking for landscaping services. And Caleb knows my pickiness and what I've done to my landscaping. I moved into this new neighborhood and I was looking for, you know, estimates on, you know, a complete renewal of what I was wanting to do. And actually, I received like close to 20 estimates and met close to 20 people. And I was completely dissatisfied. I didn't like the approach, the projects. So I truly realized there was no market for what I was looking for, which was high quality. Because I'm terribly picky. You know this, you know, we've been here with you. And I always thought there would be a market for someone doing high quality landscaping, because my wife just jokes about it, because sometimes we were just walking the dog and walking the baby in the morning, our ritual, and I suddenly become like a landscape critique, where it's just like, man, look at this, look at that. So I always thought there would be room for someone doing high quality. And now to the emotions that pop into your mind and hearts when you think about your business. When I see, for example, your logo in your name, I told you that in the past, fine lines, and then you see that, you know, that thing, it conveys quality. And when you get to the website, there's quality, there's a big image there, and just, it's clean, it's just, so maybe intuitively, maybe not, maybe I hinted that in the past, there's a lot of money, and I know my neighbors would just pay a lot. I live in a good neighborhood. They would pay more money. I bet they would just, you know, not even blink. how you see your business into the market and how you see your competitors. If you can bucket them somehow, hey, this is like penny pinchers, these are whatever, the low quality, and how you see yourself in terms of what bucket you belong in the market, and how do you believe people perceive you?
You're asking like what bucket do I see my business in?
Yeah, basically, and what types of buckets do you see, your competitors in?
I would say right now our business is marketing towards the higher end luxury design and build construction projects. We're not doing any maintenance right now. We're not doing any, honestly, our project minimum's about 10K and we require a design. So we're in that upper kind of tiered bucket. And it's just, with the business model that I'm utilizing, it's just what works. All this 6K projects, I'm going up against owner operators that don't have a team, don't have an office, don't have a building. And so they're just undercutting all my bids. Like, why would somebody pay $6,000 to get their bushes trimmed when they could pay $3,000? And honestly, the quality of the work's the same. But when you get into projects like this, now when you go from a project anybody can do, and as you start moving up the ladder into projects that not a lot of people can do, now your price can start to increase because this takes a skilled laborer. This doesn't just take any Joe or John. Like this takes a Carlos, this project is very complex, very tough, and to get a quality, long-lasting patio, you need to hire a good team that knows what they're doing. So I'm in that kind of upper tiered bucket.
Very good. I always thought that was a big market opportunity from the beginning. Good to see that.
So you mentioned earlier how you've considered selling even this business. What's your end game? Where do you see yourself being the happiest as far as the next?
So the end game for me would be to have a complete amazing team under fine lines, using all the business's money to really bring in the best people, pay them well, give them an amazing team, because I know through that everything that that allows this business to not take as much of my mental real estate to where I could focus on other things. I want to build systems and processes and innovative systems for this landscaping business to potentially franchise or to potentially acquire businesses and then put my infrastructure into them to where now the owner of the business is still managing it, but we come in and give them systems and give them a team over to analyze things and tweak things. I want to coach businesses. I want to help businesses grow and scale. I don't want to just be focused on growing my business and making me money. I want to focus on growing 1,000 businesses and making 1,000 people money. So through my business, I get social proof and I get to figure out how to make it happen. Once I learn all of those skills and this business is fully operating, I plan on going into hundreds of businesses and implement that same strategy.
There's one here.
Sorry I came in late. I have nothing else.
No, you're good, bro.
I'm curious. I missed your presentation, but I'm curious. When you were building this, what was your daily routine? I didn't get the full story of how you started to where you are now. I just see where you are now, and I think the site is very cohesive, like you were saying. I'm very curious, but I'm curious, what I guess what the day-to-day look like, because this takes a lot of, in my opinion, hard work and dedication, of course. But
Like the actual building of this site,
no,
or just operating this entire business.
Yeah.
My day-to-day has rapidly, it's just changed so much. When I first started, my day-to-day was wake up, mow grass, eat Quick Trip hot dogs, and get done at 7, and then go to bed or go party with my friends and do stupid stuff. And then I would just repeat it and just barely get the lawns mowed and invoice late. I would always invoice late. I would invoice the customers late. I was bad at collecting the money. I didn't really want to sit and do all these tasks because I didn't have any focus. Why would I want to sit behind my computer if I could go out and go to Pump House or go, drink with my friends? So I had a lot of mental flaws, and I had a lot of habit flaws in the beginning. As I've progressed, I've slowly gotten myself into a position where now my days look a lot different. Like I haven't touched a shovel all year, but I'm going to do double the revenue that I did last year. And so like now my day-to-days, I mentioned that it's very important to have a morning routine. I've looked at a lot of successful people. They all have a morning routine because it's all about inputs. Like in life, your inputs directly equal your outputs. So you have to maximize for quality inputs. And each day, if I'm reading 10 pages a day, I'm meditating, I'm taking a cold shower, I'm stretching, I'm giving gratitude, those are all inputs that I'm getting in every single day. So in the morning, my first hour, I'm really focused on that. I'm focused on myself. I don't look at anything, no distractions. It's me. I take this time to get my mind right, prep the day, and develop every single day. And then after that, I like to set my meetings for the afternoon. I like to do all my deep work and all my creative work in the morning, all like the most important tasks, because that's when I'm fresh and I don't have distractions. And then after I put some points on the board, I'll typically like go to the gym, get the pump in, and then I'll do meetings in the afternoon. I'll meet with clients on sales presentations. I'll swing by the projects, make sure all the plants are going in the right spots. I'll take videos at the projects, post them to Instagram.
Was there a point where it clicked between when you were, mowing lawns and then going out later and drinking with your friends? Like you said, your habits changed.
Yeah.
I love your morning routine. I believe that everybody should have a morning routine as well. But is there a point where like it clicked where you're like, okay, I need to take this seriously and like really lock in and change my inputs?
100%. So, God has like beautifully intertwined all these people into my life at the perfect moments. And my roommate, I bought a house when I was 18 and I stored all my mowing equipment there. And I had a roommate that was paying down my mortgage. And so I was basically just paying for utilities and stuff. But that roommate's dad was extremely successful in Baton Rouge. This guy owned a hotel, like 6 restaurants, just balling. And I got the opportunity to go down and visit him. And in this time, I was drinking, I was smoking, I was doing all this crazy stuff that was just stealing every single bit of clarity and mental real estate that I had. And when I went down there, I saw how disciplined he was. Even at 40, with a $40 million net worth, I saw how disciplined he was. The dude did not drink. So I was able to tap into his energy, his routine, and his abundance. And I realized, whoa. I gotta cut the ropes on this. Now it took me 6 months to do it, but that really woke me up. And then I just got to a point where I would, Eric would invite me over, and all my same friends that are doing all the same stuff, I'd go over there, and while I'm there, I start to get anxiety because, like we're all getting signals daily. Like, are you on your path or are you not? Like, if you have anxiety, you're far from it. And if you have a lot of energy and you're doing well, then chances are you're kind of on your path. So I would get a lot of anxiety at my friends' houses. And I'm like, dude, I could be doing this. I could be building the business. And so the pain of that, like I was just like, all right, I'm done. I'm saying no. And then I started just focusing on myself. I went through a period of isolation where all I did was hang out with myself. I said no to a lot of people. And I just focused on myself and reading. And
So I would like, go on, sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna ask. Go ahead.
No, please. And then
I was gonna ask you any books you would recommend. You said you read a lot of business books.
Yeah. What are you looking to get? What are you looking to get? Because I've kind of fallen into the trap of like just reading books to read books, and that's good. It's good, but like now my approach is, okay, what am I trying to improve? What book can directly, I can read it and then apply the information. Because if I just read information, chances are it's just going to go I'm going to intake it, I'm going to get the dopamine, but then I can't apply it, so I'm going to lose that to my everyday world. So it's like, okay, if I want to get good at marketing, well, I'm going to read all Russell Brunson's books. I'm going to read all of Alex Hormozy's books. I'm gonna read Blue Ocean Strategy, and I'm gonna read books that are directly, for marketing. If I want mindset books, I might, listen to The Game of Life and How to Play It, or The Science of Getting Rich, or, maybe a David Goggins book, or, it's, what are you trying to improve right now in your life?
With me, I mean, it's more just actually getting the whole business in line.
Yeah.
Like really get this thing to take off.
Yeah, what do you think is the biggest bottleneck to the growth right now? Is it you, or is it the marketing, or is it sales, or is it?
This is it. Like when I'm doing this, it's something that I've been doing for a long time, but I've never actually done it as a business. It was more like a passion,
Mm-hmm.
But now we've turned it into a business and it's growing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I mean, it's completely different from what I've done all my life.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in construction all my life.
Mm-hmm. Well, the cool thing is with online, there's infinite potential. And if your marketing is so good that thousands and millions of people know about your product, you're going to make a lot of money from it because you have a margin on your beef jerky. And then you can just use that money to hire people that are better at business stuff. So, I mean, in my opinion, marketing is, eyeballs are everything. Marketing senior to sales, marketing. I would look into $100 million offers, $100 million leads by Alex Hormozy. I would look into Russell Brunson has some good books. I mean, the online world is what's going to blow up your beef jerky business. If you just give it to him and him and him, it's going to stay right here. But if you tap into the infinite potential of TikTok, Instagram, creative videos, funny videos, using your personality, and then you're attracting people to the brand, sky's the limit.
Is Russell Brand the .com secrets guy? Or is that somebody else?
Yeah. He started ClickFunnels.
Yeah, the funnels.
He started ClickFunnels.
Do you want that? I have that book at home, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
It's just sitting there.
Will you have another, anywhere else, so we can get like our kids or something?
Yeah, I really try and post a lot on YouTube.
Okay.
And I'm going to continue to keep posting more, because I want to share what I've learned, and I've gotten punched a ton, and yeah, so I'm gonna share stuff on YouTube. I'd love to, get more opportunities like this to speak to people, and maybe go back to my high school and speak and just pour into people and share what I've learned. Social media though also.
Will you share dates?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, through Eric or yeah.
And maybe I will just try to stress one of the points here, actually the one raised by one, but then I'm going to wrap it up, and then we can potentially have a time with Caleb to relate and connect. But just, I think, I don't know if I'm phrasing it correctly, but one of the things you just said here is just that your business will never outperform your personal development or something like that. So that takes us to invest in yourself. What are you doing for you right now? How are you investing in yourself, in your personal development? That takes us to the books, but one of the things it stands out for me is your mindset. Your growth mentality, your belief that things are just possible, you just have to find a way. How are you developing yourself right now?
Every single morning, the first hour of each morning is strictly for Caleb. And I've always surrounded myself with people, either by trading money or by, trading time. But I've always surrounded myself around people that are doing what I want to do, because I realize the importance of the energy, the thoughts. Like, even just being able to tap into that guy's energy in New Orleans changed my life. Being able to tap into somebody's energy that is confident, that, is dialed in, will change your life. And so I've always paid to get into rooms, and I haven't been afraid to invest in myself. But, each morning, I strictly have a routine. I journal. I had my journal prompt on here, but I wake up at 5 at an uncomfortable time, and then I journal. I write things I'm grateful for. I write down my vision. I write down where I'm going, and then I'll do like a cold shower, and I'll go outside and breathe. I do like some breath work. It's all just trying to calm the mind and to kind of unidentify with all the thoughts that are streaming through. Because if you just identify with every single thought, half of them are trying to keep you in the same spot and half of them are progressing you. So you have to learn to unidentify with the thoughts that aren't serving you. So the morning is dedicated to me. And then throughout the day, I'm very disciplined with like short form scrolling on Instagram. I'm very disciplined with kind of who I'm spending my time with. I'm disciplined with my environment. Like I got a separate apartment from my family so I can kind of just lock in and focus. And I'm very aware and I'm very cautious of what I let in and what I'm surrounding myself with.
Caleb, I would like to thank you on behalf of everyone here. I can see the engagement, not only, I can feel their thoughts here. They're with you. And, I'd like to make sure everyone is able to know how to reach out to you.
Mm-hmm.
And you have so much to share, and you're passionate about this, and you want to share. It helps you. I'd like for you to spend some time with the people here as we wrap it up, but in general, just a big thank you, and we're honored to have you here.
100%. Yeah, thank you guys.